Hello everyone, welcome back. Good evening. I am out of breath. It's fine though. We're ready to start. Bitcoin's price 106,850. We did the drop as expected. We actually dropped a little more than expected. Down, we had a low of 103,496 according to my exchange. So yeah, long's getting liquidated again. Look at this huge candle, right? No wicks at all, just completely a bearish candle. But since then we have bottomed out. We are kind of on our way back up. We had a couple things happen today. One of the things was the meeting with Donald Trump and Zelenskyy at the White House that took place. We're going to discuss that. Some comments on what's going on with China. Kind of gave some relief to the market. We'll also be discussing that. Some news about a lot of cryptocurrencies. Trying to think what else. Either way, we will find stuff to talk about nonetheless. All important, relevant information. So that being said, let's just go ahead and get into it. Before we do, just reminding you to subscribe. That's all, if you're not already. 500 is, I guess, one of the goals, but my main goal is 1,000, and then I'll stop begging, I promise. So, we did not drop as much as I would have wanted. You know, maybe it's for the better, not dropping down below 102,000, right? We hit 103,496, as I said. We have since then recovered. We're almost about to break 107,000. Did I don't think I updated my thumbnail correctly, did I? Oh, that's not good. I completely deleted the price, apparently. How did that happen? What? I'm not going to fix it now. I'll fix it in post later. Doesn't really matter. So, yeah, we're about to break 107,000. It's good for Bitcoin, but we are still in a downtrend, right? That's not really changed. Overall, on like the weekly charts, if you're looking in the large scale of things, we are still in an uptrend, so that should continue till the end of the year is what we're all hoping for. A bounce is to come very soon. Some people have already called to the bottom from here. I would be a little bit more patient till mainly the end of this month, because we have something important, of course. A lot of things coinciding at the same time. The Fed meeting, which will decide interest rates. That's happening October 29 on Wednesday. Without any economic data, by the way, so we're just going to have to guess. And my take is that the Fed is going to have to just give us a bit of a treat, right? Yeah, we'll give you a 25 basis point rate cut so that we don't panic in the event that, you know, the labor market is actually really bad. Either way, it should still be bad because of the government shutdown. So yeah, it's all pretty much priced in at this point, or maybe not. I don't know. We should be much more bullish. A lot more bullish too, like, because we are getting the 2 rate cuts that we are expecting. So that's one thing. And another thing that's coinciding by the end of this month is whether or not we do put those 100% tariffs on China. So we'll see. Hello, Dog with Hoodie. Crossing your fingers for 98K. But DC is bullish at the moment, hearing things. Yep. What I believe, we do have a major support at 100,000. Of course, it's the psychological level. And even if we do drop to 98 or 96,000, it would suck. I'm not hoping for it because I'm not in a short position on it. But if you are shorting, yeah, fine. As long as we do hit, like, even if we do hit 96,000, I'm confident that we will bounce from there, because from what I have analyzed, according to the super trend, we have that super trend at 96,000, which indicates this is where markets are supposed to, you know, as long as we stay above that level, we are still in the bull cycle, right? So I think it should still carry on by the end of the year. Maybe not December. I'm still gonna keep my word on maybe we do not top out in December. Maybe we do, depends. I think the top would be in November, meaning that I'm thinking a recovery is bound to happen really soon, and a lot of fundamentals do support that, in my opinion. There's no real good reason for us to be crashing, really. We just got peace in the Middle East. We're getting a lot of rate cuts. And that's it. That's all I can think of. No, I'm kidding. But no, genuinely, we do have a lot of good reasons. Everything, like all these crypto projects I'm looking at, have good stuff planned out, of course. We're going to be talking about a lot of projects. Yeah. You're expecting 130 to 145,000 mid-November, according to your charts. I agree with that. I also do have my own target at 135,000, and I expect to top by November. So we'll see if that does align. If that is going to be the case, though, I'm not sure how fast we're going to climb up. You know, there are other catalysts around there as well. M2 money supply at all-time highs. Gold. The top is already in for gold, is what it seems like. The top indicator was all those people lining up to buy yesterday, right? Retail. That's the exit liquidity for the big guys who were in from the beginning. We'll be discussing about gold as well. A bit more to talk about on that subject. So, yeah, in that sense, I feel like a bottom will have to come soon. By when? What would I say? That's tough. I think maybe by end of month, October. October might end up red for this month. Your whole October hype, I don't know if we're going to keep up with that. October might be a red month, is all I'm going to say. I wouldn't like for that to be, but in order for it to not be a red month, we're going to need to see Bitcoin above 116K, which we have a resistance at. What would this be? 114K, I'm going to call it. For now, we're going to get new pivot levels that will be more accurate by next week. Next week we'll have better resistance levels. Right now we're focusing on supports because we are still in a downtrend, right? Why would you focus on resistance if you're not even in an uptrend? You're not even going to have the price go up. Right now, the whole sentiment is bearish and things are coming down. A lot of people are thinking that 126 was the cycle top and we're going down from here. I disagree with that fundamentally, and I have my reasons why. So I don't know. My opinion, things are going to continue higher. It's just going to take some time from here. So I stand by what I've been saying in my past streams. It's sideways movement and or decay to the downside. We might see some small recovery pumps, some relief pumps, but nothing that will take us to overbought territory. We would need a break of the downtrend in order for us to see that end. To break the downtrend at these levels, we're looking at 114,000 plus. It's not too bad of a recovery. I mean, we saw Bitcoin move $20,000 in a day, so anything can happen at this point, but you get the point. All right, cool. So what else do we got? Everything is in the red for me. No big deal. Did I have any more purchases today that I would want to go over or discuss? Hyperliquid, pump fund I entered yesterday with you guys. We'll have a look at Hyperliquid. Still bullish on the whole project. I still think it's top DEX. We just basically bought this dip overnight and reduced our average price. I originally bought it over here. It wasn't by much, so, you know, I'm at a good entry with Hyperliquid. 36, that's not too bad. Some would argue this is risky. I would agree with you, because we don't have a confirmation of a trend reversal on Bitcoin yet, meaning that any small movement that Bitcoin continues lower, which it can, altcoins are going to continue to suffer more, like double or triple whatever Bitcoin drops, because that's just how altcoin correlations work with Bitcoin. But I'm trying to get in early, right? I'm trying to get the max return, even if it's more riskier. I'm willing to take the risk at this point. Right now, I'm just unfazed, especially when we have, you know, something like that going on over here with the 80% crashes or whatever. So, yeah. I think I know what I'm doing. All the leverage has been wiped out. We're not going to see a huge liquidation event like that ever again for a long time, in my opinion. Never say never. You never know. But we would need genuinely bad fundamentals for something like that to ever happen again. And that would mean like people dumping even on spot, right? It's not just liquidations leverage positions getting liquidated. So it's more than that, right? It would have to be more than that for something like this to happen again, this huge cascade of a drop. So I think it's relatively safe play to do 3x leverage in my opinion. We'll see how that plays out. Ethereum 3,845. This order did not get filled, which is unfortunate. I had it at 3,644. I was planning on increasing that, but I'm like, you know what? It's Ethereum. Who cares about it? It always drops anyway, and it did last night, but not far enough. Or this morning, rather. Yeah. Last night, this morning, you get the point. Resistance at 4,000, but it's looking bleak at this point. Things can continue lower, so I'm gonna keep this my trigger order right there. Solana is at 183.58. Same deal here. It's always doing that to me. How much is it by this time? We dropped to a low of 174. My order is at 172. Again by $2. My order does not get filled. We weren't really oversold at this point anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it. If we do get oversold, like one more drop lower, that's where we will hit my order. Same thing happened over here. On this chart, it dropped down to 142. I had an order at 140, and it did not get filled. I would have been very much in profit at this point with Solana, but no, couldn't snipe the trade. It's happened twice now. Maybe I'll get it next time. Oh, well, this is awkward. I wrote this on XPL. Again, oh boy, I'm just on a roll today, aren't I? With my orders not getting filled by like these tiny amounts. I promise I put these far in advance, way before. And these drops happen overnight and they don't fill up my orders. It's happening too frequently now. We dropped to 38.48, okay? And I had my order at 38.10. We've since then increased to 41, and from 38 to 41, seems like it's not a lot. But in terms of percentage, it is quite a lot. It's a 6% increase, would have been. And I'm at 3x leverage here usually, so that would have been, what, 6 times 3? 18% immediately. Whatever, though. We just talked about Hyperliquid, 35.22, down 5%. A lot of coins are overall down today, except for BitTensor. Seems to be on the rise. 393 current price, up 3%. Still have my trigger order at 300. I do expect price to maybe calm down a little bit. If we do see a drop, this is going to be the important support. 300. Psychological level. Makes sense for BitTensor. Having event coming in November. Also really cool. Sui. 244. My entry's at 247. We dropped to a low of 227. I've got to start looking for new lows on Sui, and for that, I guess I'll look at it now. I'm going to find it on the USDT chart, because I'm sure I will not have enough historical data on the USDC chart. Look on USDT chart, we dropped to 57. Crazy. Forget technical analysis. Doesn't matter when it comes to fundamentals. They will just break through any technical analysis you've ever done. I should have known that 227 was a support by looking at that level, but I guess not anymore. Dropping to a low of 170 something. I don't think we're going to see this. What is this level? 171. Yeah, I remember this crash over here. And look at this week's recovery. 69% in a week for Sui. Right after, you know, being sub $2. Crazy recovery. And it basically doubled in price. Sui's a great project. And I forgive it for doing this to us. But, yeah. Entries. Okay, let me see. I'm sure I would have seen this in the USDC chart. And then psychologically, $2 is there as well. Let me go back to USDC. It's 229.171. Oh yeah, this is the weekly chart. Yeah, we do have those levels here. So basically have that. Because at this point, you know, we're making lower lows, lower highs. We just got to look at historical data to see where prices have bounced before in order to determine, you know, we could probably see a repeat of that going on over here. Same thing goes with resistances, right? You see a resistance bounce over here and literally the same thing happened right over there. So important to look at historical data when you're not sure what else to do here. Go back to 4-hour chart. Yep, that would have been an entry. I guess I was too late. Whatever. Maybe I could have focused on pivot level. That would have helped out. Lower than that, 171. I will need an order at 171 or higher to avoid getting liquidated, if that is to be the case, although I don't think it will. I trust Sui will not liquidate me again, but never marry your bags, so you never know. For now, yeah, I think I'll put an order. Where are we? An order that I should have put, 747. I'll drop a number 750. I'll average out these three prices. Although I feel like that's a little too close. I don't know. 229, 265, 227, 925. We were oversold at that level, so it makes sense. I could re-enter at there if we do see a drop to that point again. What am I doing? Divide this by 3. That's your entry. At 230. Still one-handed army, by the way, so just bear with me while I type random stuff. I think I would put one last order at 175, although I feel like that's really far away. $2, I forgot to note that. Just basically 2. That's your next support, of course, if things do continue dropping. Yeah. I'll decide in the future if I want to continue putting more orders. For now, I'll just leave it at that. Someplace it should have filled an order. Speaking of orders getting filled, Chainlink got filled as well. Current price is $16.79. Same deal here, I think. I'm gonna have to go look at historical data to see how low we have gone, and it does not look that pretty, does it? This is a low. Give me this horizontal ray. 1538 is a level that we could reach soon. Ooh, this uptrend though, 14783, that is important. Let me put this here, please. What did I say? 14783. Might average out an entry between that, just looking at the weekly chart, right? And then you got the $10. I don't think we're seeing Chainlink below $10. So that's the last point I would look for. It would be below my liquidation price, but if I do put an order over here, it's probably going to push it a little lower to avoid getting liquidated. What do we got? We did hit oversold at that area too. I did buy that dip though, so that's fine. And if we do continue lower, yeah, I would probably average these out. Which one though? Is it 1538 or 1478? I'll just average them out at this point. 15386, 14783. So your entry's 1508. Seems fair enough. How much am I dropping? We'll do 750. Perfect. If you see another dip on Chainlink, I'll happily buy at 15. No problem. I'm happy at last because I was reluctant to buy Chainlink when it was 20 plus. I'm like, yeah, it's great that Chainlink had its rise upward, but I really want to have exposition into Chainlink, but I don't want to buy it. It was like at 22 last week, right? All that time. I was like, oh, it's painful to buy above 20, but fine. I'll do it because I like Chainlink. And then you have a drop to $8. You say bye-bye to your money, and then, you know, now we got to start fresh. Whatever. We can recover the loss. It's not a big deal. Aptos also dip was just bought into, and my average price is 330. Current price is 319. Same thing here. I did look at historical data, and this is like actually the historical low that I could find, 306, and that's where my order got filled. We actually dropped even lower than that, so 295. We're making new lows on Aptos. It's not looking too good. But I will definitely be putting an order in if we do approach liquidation price. For now, though, I'm just not going to touch it, just in case, you know, we have a flash crash. I'd rather not have my order filled and then that liquidated along with it. I don't think it will happen, but we are in a downtrend nonetheless. So I'll see what I do with it. For now, I'll leave it there. Pump fund is pumping, barely. That meme is like, you know, you buy the top, things are crashing, and then you see a little blip like that, and you're like, let's go, we're recovering. Yeah, it's kind of what we're seeing right over here. What do I do? Should I sell this? I feel like I bought the bottom here. I had a good entry. Basically where price was oversold. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. A continuation of oversold levels. That's probably going to look at 002616. If we approach that, I'll keep my eyes peeled on that chart. But for now, maybe this is bottom. And I'm not going to wait for too long, of course. I'm not going to wait until we, you know, hit one of these resistances or nothing like that. So that is our lowest point. I'm going to delete this Fibonacci just to not confuse me. Resistance for pump fun is 0042. And I'll be selling before that if that is the case. Unless we just completely skyrocket through that, which sometimes that does happen because memes are funny and people will just buy because it's funny. So yeah. There you go. That's my technical analysis. Want to look at liquidation heat map first before we do move on, and then the RSI to see what else is oversold. If you guys want to find some specific gems to maybe buy into, ones that are saying, hey, we're oversold, now's a good time to buy us. Not too crazy amount of liquidations to where the downside for Bitcoin is 100 million at almost 102,000. Isn't it like there's more shorts to be liquidated than there are longs, right? Funding rates kind of don't yet reflect that, meaning that the amount of longs that are down here are probably stronger. Maybe it's more people just buying on spot, right? Probably why we haven't dropped so hard, like below 100,000 is what I'm talking. Yeah, we did have a drop, but that's just to clear out all the leverage. All leverage players were basically wiped out that one day. Now we are just, you know, these are not big numbers, right? These are all sub 100 million. I know I'm saying 100 million is not a lot of money, but trust me, when it comes to leverage, it's not that much, especially on an asset as huge as Bitcoin. When you have something like this, 500 million, 600 million, right above, you know, 116,000, that's where the short squeezes will be really powerful for Bitcoin. But we're not there yet. It's going to be a long time till we reach that, so don't get your hopes up just yet. We still have some more ground to cover, literally, by dropping. Random coins dropped today, so no entries for a majority of them. What did have entries was Aptos and Bitcoin, I think, and Binance. BNB for some reason was oversold today, earlier. Right over here. 28 RSI, so that would have been an entry on BNB if you would have cared to buy at 1,040, 1,050. We're now at 1,087. I rarely talk about BNB, but it's been performing well. Gotta give credit where it's due. Great. That is all for my technical analysis. Let's move on to the news, and Bitcoin is at 107 finally. Good. So, talks about China. What has been going on? White House Economic Advisor Hassett says that China has a little bit of leverage, but a trade war would hurt China more at the end of the day. So we're still doubling down on the sense that, yeah, we are more likely to win this trade war. Again, I say we, I'm not American, but I'm on your side, I promise. He doubts Beijing will act on the rare earth threats, and he is confident the trade ties can return to a mutually beneficial path. That's good, giving us some hopium out there, right? Because I feel like it is all bark and no bite, right? Oh, we're gonna control rare earth minerals, whatever they were doing with China, right? And the US is like, oh yeah, well, we're gonna tariff you. And then at the end of the day, it's like, you know, they're barking at each other. When November 1st comes, okay, what's gonna happen? Are you actually gonna control the mineral exports? Are you actually gonna tariff 100%? And if you do, how long will that last? 3 days later, are you guys gonna call it off? There's already talks about, yeah, we're gonna meet up with Chinese officials. Yeah, I'm gonna meet up with Xi Jinping. Well, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Hold on. Trump says that he will meet President Xi Jinping in 2 weeks, and he calls the current China tariffs unsustainable, saying basically that the tariffs on China will not stand. And the S&P 500 just skyrocketed on that news. This is on a very small time frame. It looks like it's huge, but it's, you know, it's minuscule. Overall, it is up today, so that's good for the S&P 500. The rest of the stock market is set to see the same thing. Huge roller coaster ride, of course. Hold on. I misplaced one of these things. Okay, I'm pushing this to the bottom over here because that is important. I will talk about it. There was also, of course, the peace that is trying to be arranged between Russia and Ukraine. That is in process, right? We have a comment from Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. Yes, Hungary Prime Minister. He says that he just got off the phone with President Donald Trump today, and the preparations for the USA-Russia Peace Summit are underway. So it wasn't just a side comment that, yeah, I'm going to meet with Putin in Hungary soon, maybe. No, it's real. Like, it's all set up, and the Prime Minister of that country, Hungary, is vouching for what's going on, right? So that's good. Hungary is the island of peace. Island? Is Hungary an island? Are you serious? Now I want to look this up. Hold on. Hungary. I'm pretty sure it's like smack in the middle of Europe. Yeah, I'm right. Can I show you guys this image? I'm right. It's literally... What island? There's no island here. Anyway. You're weird, Viktor Orban, but yeah. President Zelenskyy visited Donald Trump at the White House today. This is Trump's comments after what happened. It was all, at least the news report was live streamed. I watched that as well. Trump says that the meeting with President Vladimir Zelenskyy of Ukraine was very interesting and cordial. But I told him, as I likewise strongly suggested to President Putin, that it is time to stop the killing. Make a deal. Enough blood has been shed. With property lines being defined by war and guts, they should stop where they are. Let both claim victory. Let history decide. No more shooting, no more death, no more vast and unsustainable sums of money spent. This is a war that would have never started if I were president. Confirmed by Putin. Thousands of people being slaughtered each and every week. No more. Go home to your families in peace. At the end of the day, this is what we all want, right? We don't want to see these people kill each other. So, you know, Middle East, we'll hope that that stays peaceful for now, although I'm hearing stories that Hamas is still killing some of their own people there for treason or whatever. I don't know what's going on anymore. But just, you know, peace. That's all we really want out here. And I don't know. Once again, it's what I got from Zelenskyy this time around is just the finger pointing. Oh, it's Putin. Putin is incompetent. La la la. And I don't know why they're using the word incompetent too much toward each other. Putin accuses Zelenskyy of being incompetent and vice versa. They're just pointing fingers. Hold on. There was also this that was proposed. It was interesting, especially after Trump made comments about trade between Russia and the United States after the war has finished, right? Which I guess would be good for the Russian economy if they want to start, you know, commercializing with the United States. There was a proposal from the head of Russia's sovereign wealth fund of an undersea tunnel that would link Russia and the United States through Alaska. Interesting. Well, Zelenskyy, of course, is not a fan of that, but, you know, Trump's talked about the tunnel from Russia to Alaska. Zelenskyy said it's not a good plan. And Trump's like, oh, well, I don't think he likes it, huh? They were talking about Venezuela as well. He ended with this comment that Venezuela doesn't want to F around with the United States. That was pretty funny. And then he just ended it all. It was like a mic drop moment. I'm like, okay, guys, thank you. That's all for today. Trump also says that I think that Putin does want to make a deal. Spain has not been loyal to NATO. Putin called my Middle East peace deal incredible about yesterday's phone call that they had. China wants to meet with the United States and South Korea, so that's confirmed they still will be visiting. Or meeting, sorry. India won't be buying Russian oil anymore. They are pulling back. There was also talks about that. The drone warfare is the future, but nothing beats the jets, just flexing, you know, the javelins and the Tomahawk missiles or whatever they're doing. Hopefully we can end the war without Tomahawks, is literally what he said here. The war is unpredictable. You never know how it will end. Trump has a big chance to finish this war, is what Zelenskyy said. And Trump also confirmed that Viktor Orban has been a very good leader and that they will be visiting him to meet with President Putin. Zelenskyy says security guarantees first, and then we can do labels later. Yeah, that's obviously what Ukraine wants as well, a security guarantee, something that United States or NATO countries, I guess, would have to work on, but that's a bit taboo because Russia does not want NATO involved at all. And of course, America is part of NATO, but they're kind of mediating the stuff, right? Putin and Zelenskyy want peace, is what Trump says. Now we make it happen. Trump on the peace summit in Hungary says that most likely a double meeting. Zelenskyy says that it's Putin that doesn't want to have peace, right? So once again, pointing fingers at each other. U.S. energy and defense companies are ready to help Ukraine, says Zelenskyy. I don't know how endless this is, but yeah. I guess those are the main points that we're getting out of the way. Too many have died. We're going to try to end that war, of course. And Trump already spoke with Zelenskyy about the call with Putin. And he welcomes Zelenskyy to the White House. Yeah, good stuff overall. Here is what I wanted to show this for. This was funny. It made me laugh. Republicans, according to the Democrats, Republicans are the one who control the House, which is true. Republicans control the Senate, and Republicans control the White House. It's all true. We have a majority there. And I don't know if I agree with this part. This is their shutdown. It's the Republican shutdown. Because Republicans are controlling everything, right? And then this guy just completely ratios them. I think it's a ratio. Yeah, it's definitely a ratio. 47K to 6K. Representative? Yes. Pat Fallon. I don't know what rep means clearly. Sorry. It's a 60 vote threshold in the Senate to keep the government open. And there's only 53 Republicans, meaning that some Democrats would have had to vote to keep the government open. So it's clearly not the Republicans who are in favor of the shutdown. It is the Democrats, right? So yeah, completely owned. Huge. Let me add to that ratio. And by the looks of things, that government shutdown is expected to continue much longer. The US government is now on track to shut down for more than 40 days, which would be the longest shutdown in history. This means that the current shutdown is expected to last 5 times longer than average. And Kalshi markets, the prediction markets, it's showing that the US government shutdown is now forecasted to last more than 40 days, shattering the record of 35 days in 2019. Wasn't it 2018? Whatever. All right, down to cryptocurrency and their fundamentals. What is going on with them? And gold. We will be discussing gold as well. Bottom indicator, maybe? We're at extreme fear in the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, and that was when Bitcoin was at 108,459. Forget about the crash that happened overnight to 103,000. That was not priced in here. So we're definitely in extreme fear at these current prices. Let that sink in for a moment. We're above 100,000, and we're extremely fearful on the price of Bitcoin. I don't think we're going to see Bitcoin below 100,000, if I'm being honest. But if we do, it's still going to be fine. Like, we would drop to 96,000. We'll still be fine. Bull run is still in effect. But I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of good fundamentals, things to look up to. Yeah, right now it's times of uncertainty and markets hate that. That is why we are being punished right now with this decay, the sideways movement. But that's just gonna, you know, over time, there's like this squeeze that happens where it's like, you know, you can only be congested for so long before you have to like break out somewhere, right? Whether that's good up to the upside or to the downside, so be it. But that's kind of my view on things right now. Fear and Greed Index. Patience would also be key here. We know that when gold makes a top, Bitcoin will follow. We see that historically speaking, right? Gold will make its first move and then Bitcoin makes its move, right? Gold makes its first move over here. Bitcoin follows immediately after, right? So we're kind of seeing that same kind of correlation going on right here. Right now, we're seeing, of course, gold after hitting all-time highs, looking really hot, really solid, very popular. Market cap's increasing like crazy. Bitcoin is probably going to follow that, right? They're basically the same thing. They should be the same thing, but Bitcoin should be better, right? Yeah. We'll see when that happens. US money, M2 money supply, also reaching record high numbers, 22 trillion. This is money that could eventually flow into the crypto markets. I forgot to, did you guys forget as well? We have 401k, $9 or $12 trillion market that can flow into cryptocurrencies as well. I think we're not bullish enough. I don't know. Of course, retail does not want to invest at these prices because they're scared. But, that's why we have to get in here first. And then we use retail as our exit liquidity. I know, sounds harsh, but that's how life works. This market, it's not for you to make money. It's for you to lose money. So you got to outsmart it. Right? That's kind of my theory on it. So yeah, M2 money supply, just globally as well, it's also hitting high levels all the time. I think I could find those exact numbers. I'm just curious now that we brought it up. How will I find it? Oh, here we go. Testing my knowledge, huh? Currencies, I guess. Yeah, that's not what I'm really looking for. Can I find indicators? Money supplies are more. Main indicators, money. M2 money supply. Here we are. For the world. Does it give me a number? Okay, it's giving me every country individually. I don't want to know every country individually. Just give me the whole thing. Okay, that just takes me here. I don't know if I want to add all these. I don't think I will, but I think you guys get the point. It's a couple $1 trillion. Only a couple trillion. Yeah, whatever. I can't find the exact number. Probably Google it. You could probably Google it. Today, gold finally topped out. At least that's what a lot of people are expecting, right? After rising for too long, a correction is necessary on gold. So we saw it crash. I say crash. We dropped 1%, 2% today. From 4,380 down to a low of 4,185. We have now climbed back up to 4,251. That being said, though, $1 trillion wiped out from the market cap of gold today. That's like half the market cap of Bitcoin. That's big money. And you're wondering, oh, where's all this money going to come from? It exists. It's just not in Bitcoin yet. We need the interest rates lowered, money printer turned on, and investor confidence to come back into the markets. Right now, there's just a bit of uncertainty with what's going to happen with Russia-Ukraine, what's going to happen with China tariff. Really, that's it. There's no other big issue, you know? So yeah, I see nothing but positivity going forward. Here's a fun conspiracy theory, which kind of makes sense. I mentioned this someone in the comments about this exact thing over here. The US is rotating from gold to Bitcoin right now. They pumped gold to sell it high, and they're using that liquidity to stack Bitcoin quietly while also suppressing Bitcoin's price. When they have stacked enough, they will crash gold, wreck all the other countries, and send Bitcoin to the moon. That would make sense. And, this was something I asked the US government to do. I say asked, but it's just me yelling into the void of my computer screen. But I was telling them, hey, this happened all the way back over here, by the way. Let me go to a trading view chart, actually. It's easier to show here. So April 7, right? You guys remember that day? Right over here. No, right over here. April 7. Okay. Bitcoin's price was 74,000. All right. What was gold at on that day, April 7? Right around over here. Right? About above $3,000 an ounce. And at that time, that felt like it was a lot. 3,000 for gold, that was an all-time high at that moment. I'm like, hey, US government, not financial advice, but you should sell your gold and buy Bitcoin with it. That's a neutral, budget neutral way of accumulating more to the Bitcoin strategic reserve that was just created a month prior, right? Well, now there's an even greater incentive to probably do that. I would argue that, hey, since they do have a lot of gold, allegedly, we don't know, we have not looked at Fort Knox yet to confirm whether or not the gold is still there. Maybe it isn't. But hey, gold is at an all-time high. Bitcoin is very oversold. Now's probably a good time to rotate into it, you know? Get Bitcoin for cheap. They've managed to suppress the price, I guess. Announcing tariffs, they know that that hurts the prices of cryptocurrency. They had April 7 to experiment with that. So maybe, who knows, maybe the sell-off right over here is the US government. And maybe they're, you know, planning to kind of buy back in over here. That's why we're seeing a little bit of green. Maybe. That would be cool, though, if they genuinely did do that. It's a rumor. It's not confirmed. It's a fun thought, though. And we know that Trump doesn't want crypto to go down. He will not let that happen. Not because he cares about you, but because his name is now tied to it, of course. We know he's made millions on the Trump coin, the Melania, every MAGA-inspired token. If crypto crashes, his image will bleed with that. And he's still president for another almost 3 years now. It's going to be 2 years, I think. I can't do math. He wants to be remembered as the man who revived markets, not the one who killed them. That's why one more parabolic phase is coming. Watch. We'll see. I'm expecting it. Come on. He literally revealed in front of the White House a statue, a golden statue of Trump holding a Bitcoin. Come on. When have you ever seen a president do that kind of stuff? Drinking tea. So, come on. There's no way Trump is going to let us down. And he's going to have to find a way to compensate us for all these losses. I'm sure he'll find a way. We know Peter Schiff, of course, has been completely trashing Bitcoin and Ether, right? The losses that are about to hit the crypto industry will be staggering, is what he said. I kind of covered this yesterday. Expect a wave of bankruptcies, defaults, layoffs, as the sector is decimated by the imminent Bitcoin and Ether crash, which will obliterate the rest of the altcoin market. There's systemic risk as well. But that's just kind of not true when it comes to comparing Bitcoin and gold. Gold isn't going to be worth half as much as it is now when we start mining asteroids. This is an interesting concept, and it can actually happen, by the way. It may only be a couple decades away. An energy-based currency, which is what Bitcoin is, it's the only thing that can prove long-term value, because if we do figure out how to get free energy, then, you know, everything will be free and there's no need for money, right? And it seems to be real, this whole mining asteroids, mining the gold off of asteroids. I don't know how we're going to do it, but he's supposed talking about gold being inferior to Bitcoin. Gold faces several existential threats that Bitcoin does not. There is a golden asteroid in space humanity will soon mine. Golden asteroid means that, you know, the supply will increase and the price will decrease. Humans made an ounce of gold in a lab recently. You can create gold. Commercial gold making machines are in development, that is confirmed. Which means, you know, if you can print gold, essentially, it's going to become worthless. Any of the above factors will collapse the artificial supply and demand dynamic that gold currently enjoys. I don't think gold is going to zero necessarily, but, you know, Bitcoin, yeah. Nothing can replace Bitcoin. There can only be 21 million. So I kind of agree with that stance. And if you kind of want to look at what could happen with gold in the future, look at what's happening to diamonds right now in the present. Diamond price is crashing to zero. I don't. Okay, this is an exaggeration. It's not crashing to zero, but you get the point. Because you can buy diamond making machines on Alibaba for $100,000. How long until you can buy gold making machines? And keep in mind that you can never make new bitcoins. There will only ever be 21 million. That's just the power of Bitcoin compared to the rest. That's why I think it's more valuable and why I'm sticking with it. I don't have gold. I have invested in it before, but, you know, small profits here and there, nothing too crazy. I'm more of a Bitcoin kind of guy. Okay, where are we in the cycle here? I talked about this prediction. It's a prediction. Okay, so it's, you know, it's not necessarily that we're going to play out exactly as mentioned over here, but this analyst Ash Crypto boy talked about what to expect for this month on October, and so far it's been pretty correct. The whole crash was predicted, and he's also predicting a recovery sometime by October 20, I think, and forward. We'll see if that does take place. He's saying that we're witnessing the phase 2 where everyone believes that the pump October is cancelled and that the top is in. And that is true. Just look at crypto Twitter and you'll see that kind of sentiment float around. I've seen people calling for a crash of Bitcoin even to 80,000. It's true. Look at what James Nguyen is talking about. He's going for, what were the numbers? I think it was like 90,000. Yeah, about 90, 80,000. He's expecting Bitcoin to crash a lot. Keep in mind, this is a guy that always gets liquidated on Hyperliquid. So, you know, take all that with a grain of salt. This is exactly how cartels want everyone to think. After a crash like Friday, the market always comes down one more time to liquidate all those people who longed for the crash. So that's why we saw another $1.2 billion in liquidations after Friday, right? All throughout this week. We're still having liquidations. People, it seems like they don't learn. But that's just people trying to revenge trade, in my opinion. All the current negative arguments are actually bullish. The banking crisis is bullish for Bitcoin. The Fed might start quantitative easing sooner. That's true. There's a lot of stuff happening with banks right now. I forgot to talk about. China-US trade war already happened, and next will be a bullish post from Trump saying that the US-China agreed to the deal. Of course, right? It's either that or, you know, just screw the whole markets with, yeah, we're indeed putting tariffs on China. And even so, who cares? Crypto has nothing to do with tariffs. It's all Wall Street investors who are scared, not you and me, right? Right? Anyway. We got weakness in job data, which is also bullish for rate cuts, especially with government shutdown fueling all that. The bullish elements, the leverage flush and crypto reset is done. Like I said, we can't, it's very, very, very unlikely that we're going to see another event like that happen. Maybe even for the rest of the cycle. 2 more rate cuts in 2025 is what we're expecting. Yeah, that was priced in when we hit an all-time high, but after all this liquidation and people are scared now at extreme fear, I don't think that's priced in anymore until we approach those dates again. That's why I'm feeling like, you know what? It's probably a good time to start getting into it. Fed is about to end quantitative tightening, we know. Fourth quarter of the year is historically the most bullish season, especially at this time of the cycle. The gold is already topping, right? We're seeing the price come down a bit. People are taking their profits. I'm sure, I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, would I buy gold at that price? No, never, right? Not at that price. And so it's likely that people will stop buying and start taking profits. What are you going to do with those profits? Probably invest in something that's cheap. What's cheap right now? I don't know. S&P 500 is up. You're not going to buy into that as well. Bitcoin is pretty cheap. You're probably going to buy Bitcoin. More wars are ending, right? Israel, Hamas, that's over, hopefully. And there's talks about Russia, Ukraine ending soon. Good. Peace, bullish for Bitcoin. If you ignore the fear, uncertainty, doubt, and all those negative posts, you will realize that everything is actually giga bullish, and I agree with this. So now you decide, do you want to be patient or want to panic sell before the biggest bull run ever in history? It's hopium, but I don't know. Yeah, I agree with this, so let me know what you think. Trade war is just the reason both countries need to print more. Also, yeah, also true. Their economies are going to suffer. They're going to have to start giving out stimulus, turn on the money printer, ease the economy, boost it. So overall, that will help assets, right? People are scared of inflation, but inflation can play in your favor if you are the one with assets and your prices are getting inflated, right? Anything that weakens the dollar, the fiat currencies, is what's good for Bitcoin and crypto. Okay. Moving on to Aster. I know some of you guys like Aster, so here we go. Last buyback on Aster happened October 10. I'm pretty sure I covered. Aster has since earned more than $15 million in fees, not including the refunds given in stage 2. Aster is currently accumulating $25 million and... Wait, what? $3 million in daily fees conservatively. Aster was relisted on DeFi Llama today. If you guys weren't aware, remember it got delisted from DeFi Llama because of this controversy. Like, hey, this volume that you guys are reporting that you have seems to be a little unnatural. Maybe you guys are taking the data from Binance and passing it off as your own because you were created by Binance. So we're going to delist you for dishonesty. And they're like, oh, that's not cool. And it made the price kind of drop. But it was relisted on DeFi Llama today. So, hey, good stuff for Aster, finally. Seems like just out of nowhere, they're like, yeah, we're going to relist you. It's no big deal. We don't care that you're lying about your volume. Yes, I don't even know if you'd call this a recovery. It's just like everything had this candle. Okay, we'll ignore that for tonight. But it's kind of on the way back up a little bit. It still says we're down 7%. Whatever. There's a reason for why it's also dropping is the token unlocks that happened today, the airdrops. They confirmed the October 17 today unlock that happened today is a 1% unlock for listing and ecosystem development, and it will stay in the public wallet unmoved. So it's not going to have too much of a big impact, is what it seems like, at least, according to this source. Trust me, bro. We'll see. We also have listings on other exchanges for Aster. Aster is being listed on OKX for spot trading. 6 a.m. Well, we're UTC -4, so that was 2 a.m. this morning. That's already listed then. And Kraken also going to be listing Aster. They don't have perpetuals, I don't think, so it's just spot. On the other hand, Hyperliquid, it's still in the lead, though, for all blockchains when it comes to fees over the past 24 hours only, which is higher than Binance, Tron, Ethereum. That's pretty huge. You know what Hyperliquid does with their fees is the buybacks, and the top 10 projects by token buyback spend in this year, 2025, Hyperliquid in the lead by far. $644 million in buybacks. Good. If you care about the rest, I don't know what Zero is. $150 million in buybacks. Pump Fund, $138 million in buybacks. Radium, $100 million in buybacks. I don't know what Sky is. $78 million. Jupiter, $57 million. Athena, $40 million. I don't know what RLB is. $27 million. Bonk, for whatever reason, a meme coin is doing buybacks. But yeah, $27 million. They're trying to, reduce the supply. But is the demand there to keep up with that? Aave as well, $23 million in buybacks. Not too bad. I did invest in Athena and Aave, and then I got liquidated, and now I don't know what to do with my life because they're so far down. I'm going to be more conservative with the money. I'm only going to be investing in these. Probably not going to expand more than that unless I see a genuinely good project that is heavily oversold on the RSI. So we'll look at that. Solana teases a big announcement for October 20. I wonder what it's about. Ripple, XRP. Well, not XRP. Ripple, the company, is planning to raise $1 billion to buy XRP tokens. There you go. That's a buyback. That's probably going to happen. I don't think it's going to be... No, I don't know, 1 billion. You're basically going to increase the market cap by 1 billion. That's what you're going to do. Which means that with XRP right now, it's not going to be a huge difference. I'm just letting you know right now. If the current price is 233, it's because we got 139, 863, 254, 307 divided by 59 $970 billion. So that's million, that's billion. That's how you get the price of XRP, which is 233 right now, right? If you increase the market cap by 1 billion, so 140, 866422461 divided by that same number, 59,970, the price would be 234. You're going to increase XRP by 1 cent. Congratulations. $1 billion into XRP increases it by 1 cent. Awesome. Can't wait for that. No, but sure. It's fine, I guess. A buyback from Ripple. Sure. And it's $1 billion, which, you know, it's a bit of money, in my opinion. What I was confusing this originally was that XRP has 1 billion tokens, not dollars. So 1 billion XRP tokens that gets released into the ecosystem every month up until we reach the max supply of 100 billion. So right now there's 60 billion in circulation. 100 billion is the maximum, meaning that 40 billion XRP tokens are yet to be released into the market, and you're getting 1 billion released every month. 40 divided by 12, that's in 3.5 years. All the XRP tokens will be released. I guess that's one thing to be bullish about. After 3 years, maybe by next cycle, XRP will actually be worth something good. That is why I've talked about, like, when we're comparing XRP to whatever's closest to its price, and I usually pick on SUI for this. 247, perfect example. 247 is the price of SUI versus 233, the price of XRP. I've talked about this many times. What's going to be the best performer in this cycle, SUI or XRP? The answer is SUI, because it has more growth potential, it's more volatile, and we've seen it in action perform way better than XRP when it comes to price. Right? They're both starting off at 247. I would expect SUI at $5 plus by the end of the year. XRP, I would expect it at $3-4 maybe. I'd say $3, honestly. No, $4. We'll be generous with it. But, you know, by that same margin, I mean, depending on how much money flows into each, like I just showed you this example, $1 billion into XRP, it only moves it up 1 cent because it's that massive of an asset. $1 billion in SUI, however, let me do the math here for you. So it's at 8,994,000,000. That gives it the price of 248 right now. If we entered 9,944,508,910 divided by the circulating supply of 3,620,000,000, the price would increase to 274. That same $1 billion, if you took it from XRP and you just put it into SUI instead, you're increasing it by, forgive my math, but 25 cents, maybe. Compared to XRP, you're only increasing it by 1 cent. That's where I would say, yeah. I mean, when it comes to that kind of money being added into the markets, into the market caps, SUI will outperform XRP for this cycle. But when it comes to, you know, fundamentally speaking, SUI is an inflationary coin. XRP, it's got its token unlock schedule, but until a max level, and that ends 3 years from now. And what else happens 3 years from now? If the cycles continue every 4 years that we're seeing with, you know, the crypto market cycle, you know, we're expecting 2026 to be a bear market, 2027 bear market, maybe, right? Historically speaking. 2028, the start of something big. 2029, all-time highs again for everything. And by then, I mean, yeah, XRP will probably skyrocket more compared to what SUI would have because of its inflationary nature. That's kind of my view on both of these. So this is good overall, but it's not going to have a big price impact. Put it in something more important. Ripple. Huobi founder Li Lin, what a name, am I right? He's launching a $1 billion firm to manage and expand an ETH-focused treasury. Once again, $1 billion, cool. Where are you guys getting this money from? Anyway, for Ethereum, it's not going to have a big price impact. But good overall. Treasury on Ethereum, it'll bring volume, I guess. That's all there really is to it. An institutional confidence, institutional adoption, that's good overall. Japan's Sumitomo Mitsui. Okay. Sumitomo Mitsui and two other banks. Oh, so it's a bank. It's not a person. They plan to jointly issue a stablecoin. Cool. Japan stablecoin. Yen stablecoins. That's great. MetaMask, just kind of hinting or confirming rather that MetaMask is cooking. Perps trading already exists. Although I think we have too much of that already. But anyway, Polymarket prediction markets are coming. And a future MetaMask token has been confirmed. What for? I don't know. These guys are a wallet. Why do you need a token? But anyway. Airdrops are coming for that if you hold, I think it's Linea. If you hold Linea, you'll probably get access to MetaMask airdrops. I don't know the specifics, and I don't farm airdrops that much. It's usually, in my opinion, nothing too crazy. It seems like it's not worth all the work that you're putting in. I don't know. I haven't really tried it. Maybe you do get a huge amount of money in airdrops if you're in early, if you're taking the right steps. Let me know if you guys do that. I don't know. Might look into it though. Mr. Beast has filed a trademark for a banking app called Mr. Beast Financial. Oh boy. The app will include services like online banking, investment management, and crypto exchange tools. You know how many kids watch Mr. Beast, right? You know that Mr. Beast is arguably the most subscribed channel on YouTube. Him starting a bank to give exposition into investments and cryptocurrency. I'm not saying that kids are going to invest in cryptocurrency, but I mean, they're going to be exposed to that. And when they grow up, when they're of age, and they're able to open these kinds of accounts, they'll be like, hey, yeah, I remember Mr. Beast, my childhood hero. I'll invest in crypto as a child. I don't think they will, honestly. Young people, a lot of young people I talk to, they don't invest. But who knows? Maybe the early exposure into what cryptocurrency would be would radicalize their minds into what I am today, right? Would be pretty funny. Did you guys know Prince Andrew from the UK royal family surrenders his royal titles, including the Duke of York? There you go. He's no longer important. I never even knew he was Prince or Duke of whatever, but hey, there you go. Cool, good stuff. Updates, I got rid of my volatility index. Sold at the top, by the way. I know, I'm such a good trader. It's on its way down already, the volatility index. Watch tomorrow, it spikes even higher. That would just be great. That is what happens anyway, but I'm not investing in the leveraged ETFs anymore. No leveraged ETFs of any sort, of any industry will I ever invest in. It just decays too much and I cannot stand it. I did make that mistake originally. I don't know if I talked about this, but in my tax-free savings account, which if you withdraw at a loss, by the way, you permanently lose contribution room. So that's an issue. That's why I haven't really withdrawn anything. I'm investing more. I didn't invest too much, but I lost like maybe 2,000 on leveraged ETFs when it came to natural gas, right? There were these Canadian natural gas leveraged ETFs. I'm like, hey, yeah, you know what? I like natural gas. I study it. I know it's cyclical moves throughout the years, right? Rises in the summer, drops in the winter. Easy profits, right? Wrong. Russia-Ukraine happened, and then prices did the opposite of what I was expecting it to do, and I ended up losing a lot because it just can't recover. A leveraged ETF cannot recover to the highs that it once had. You're going to notice that, like, if you scroll all the way back in time for leveraged ETFs, it's costing millions, hundreds of millions of dollars per share, which that is impossible to have. The reason why that happens is because of the splits that keep on happening, because it just keeps on going lower and lower and lower in price. Think about it. If it continues dropping lower, like it's costing $10 per share, for example, and it keeps on dropping and dropping, and it goes like sub $1 at that point, it's basically a penny, and like a penny share stock, whatever. And it's about to go into like so many decimal points. You got to make a reverse split where you increase the number of shares in circulation, and you multiply the price by that amount so that, people can actually buy it with real money instead of, millicents, not like you see what... Otherwise, it's going to look like what the meme coins are looking like if you look at, I don't know, Pepe. You're going to see all these zeros over here. Like, oh, how am I going to buy... Like, think about it. With real money, how am I going to buy these cents? That just doesn't happen. Unless you buy, like... That's why you buy, like, millions of tokens when you buy, like, I don't know, $1,000 in Pepe. You get 433,000 tokens. So it's like, okay. You got the point, right? Yeah, never again will I invest in leveraged ETFs because price just eternally decays no matter what. It's good if it's short term and you know what you're doing, but it has to be like really short term and you got to have like 100% accuracy, which is really hard to do. And if you're wrong, you're going to be wrong for a long time, and that long time is not something that you can afford because it'll just continue going lower. So yeah. Cool, good. Hope you learned something from that. That is all the news I have to cover for today. Bitcoin is slightly on the rise, 107,271. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you, I already said that. I will see you tomorrow if I've got nothing going on. And we'll see what else we have to discuss by then. I'm sure more news will come out, and there are some stuff that I haven't really fully covered yet. I might go back and talk about some old news that I didn't get to cover, especially because I was off for how many days? 3-4 days earlier this week. I took an extra long weekend. So, yeah. Yep, we'll discuss that by then. Till then, have a great rest of your evening. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.